Hello everyone, testnet here with another update from the Avalanche ecosystem. Once again, it's been a little while, but for today's video we've got something that I am very excited about, have been excited about for a fairly long time. Those of you who have basically earned their OG status, who've been around for a year, may remember the previous video I did on Avvy Domains. Basically, Avvy Domains is a domain name registration service for Avalanche, similar to how ENS, Ethereum Name Service, is one for Ethereum. Essentially, this is how we can get our .avax domains. So yeah, a year ago, the first version of the app launched and it went quiet for a little bit. I've been talking to Connor, the dev, behind the scenes a little bit, just what he's working on, how the updates are going. In the end, I think he got it to a point where he got into a collaboration with Avalanche on the topic for it. And they had some suggestions and they made some changes and some other things, audits and everything. Took us to where we are today with the upcoming auction for the domain names. And I am lucky enough to have been given access to the testnet version of it in order to show you how you will be able to register your own Avvy domain once the auction goes live. So I am currently on the testnet, but this should be essentially the same thing you will see once the app is live. There's a couple of buttons here, but I think one of the best ways to start registering your domain is simply searching for it. So in my case, I would search for testnet, and currently lucky the name is still available, and I can choose to register it or search for another name, but obviously for me testnet.avax is the right one. As you can see, there is a registration premium. If you've not yet read the auction guide, it's also a very useful little document. It's not very long, so I just recommend you to read it. But essentially the auction will start on May 30th and then it's a Dutch auction. So what happens is the price starts high and it goes lower and lower until someone who thinks that's a fair price will decide to say, yes, I'll buy it for this price, and then they own that domain. The original plan was to go for a different kind of auction, but within EVM or so that was difficult, or within Solidity to code that in very well, so Dutch auctions work better, so that's what we're doing right now. And yeah, this price chart here essentially shows you, like, if you want to register immediately upon the domain going live, it will be quite expensive and it will drop fairly quickly and then more and more slowly until at some point the registration premium reaches 0. And this is just to make it so that the first people cannot claim all the good domains immediately. If you already have a price in mind at which you want to register your domain, you can fill in that price right here. So for example, you say you want to pay 10 AVAX for your domain. You can fill it in here. You will get it in UTC and in the time zone of your browser, and it just double checks as well with the contract so that the registration fee is indeed 10 AVAX. If you have been able to pre-reserve your domain, this was available to people who had special claims to it, the domain will just be transferred to your wallet instead. So back on the registration page, I can just select register this name, and then I need to connect the wallet, so I'll use MetaMask, accept terms and services, and MetaMask, and just connect, and it should be on Fuji. Yeah, because I am obviously on the testnet version. So if I want to register testnet.avax, I will pay $5 a year, plus the current premium, and I can just opt this for at most 5 years. Also, if you have a domain that's shorter than 4 characters, I think 3 or 4 characters, it will be more than $5 per year, just because those are likely to be more in demand. All the other ones should just be $5 a year. The app uses Chainlink oracles to determine how much AVAX you should be paying for your $5 for your subscription fee, and it will add that to the premium, and that's the price you will pay to register your domain. If everything looks good, you can continue your registration. Next, you'll get to this little pop-up about generating zero-knowledge proofs. That's just because the domains have 2 options, which we'll get up into a moment. But essentially, the first proof is to enable keeping your domain private. And the second proof will be to check whether your name has the right fee for the amount of characters it has. So you can press generate proof, and it will generate 2 proofs. This may slow down your browser a little bit, but I think my PC is quite decent, so it will do it fairly quickly. And there we go. And then I can just continue. And here is what I was talking about with regards to the privacy. Essentially, you can register your domain in 2 different modes. I think for most people, the standard one will be the most logical. It's the one where everyone on the blockchain can read your domain names. You can list the domain on any NFT exchange. Your wallet will always remember your domain names. You can use your address to look up the relevant domain name. So basically just, the standard use you would expect from a .avax domain for most people. Once you have enabled this, like once you've basically publicized it, you can never take it back. You can never make it private again. So do keep that in mind. There's probably, people will have different reasons to preserve their privacy. I can imagine, for example, that, if Emin wants to claim the elite hackster domain, then maybe he doesn't necessarily want people to know which address is associated with that or something. Essentially, if you choose for the privacy feature, like the snow trace cannot really read your domain name, it will just show a whole bunch of numbers. You can also not list the NFT on the exchange for the same reason, it will just show a bunch of numbers. Your wallet will also not remember your domain name, like your one in your browser will, because it's a copy of it is stored locally. But if you want to also view it from your mobile or so, your mobile will not remember because you need to download the information for it, which there is an option for later on once you've registered your domain. And you can also not use someone's address to search the relevant or the connected domain name. If you do choose to start in privacy, you can always switch to public later on. So keeping that in mind, I think for most people and for myself as well, standard privacy makes the most sense. So I'll just continue with that. And then my registration is complete. So I can finalize it. And then I just pay the transaction fee, the registration fee, and the registration premium. And there we go. And my domain registration was successful. And I can click here to just view my domains. And here it is, cdnet.avax. Now, this is the address that has registered it. This is probably not the one I will use to register it on mainnet. The expiry date is next year, so because I set it for 1 year. Now, what's really interesting about the expiry date that's probably good to go into, it's just how it works. So let's say a domain is available. Once someone registers the domain, it becomes leased for a certain time period, in my case a year. If that lease ever expires, there will be a grace period of I think 1 or 2 months is what Connor said, where nobody else can register it. I cannot use it, but I can re-register it, and then I could reclaim it. If I basically let that grace period expire, there will be a new auction, including again the registration premium, where someone can directly register it, or if basically nobody registered the domain in the auction, and the price premium reaches 0, it will just become available for free for anyone to mint it. Or technically not free, but there will not be a price premium. Now what's also very interesting to set is the resolver. Then do note that this is still currently in beta, so you do not necessarily have to use it. There is a chance you'll waste your gas fees as they will change the contract for it. But I'm going to show it to you because this is an important part of how you will be using the domains later. So I will just use the default resolver and submit, which will also just be a transaction without any extra fees, just the gas fees. And there we go, resolver has been updated. So I can actually set multiple kinds of addresses. So I can set, of course, a C-chain address, which I think is the one most people will use at least. So in my case, that will be the address I just used, right? The same that registered it. And I can submit that. Once again, pay a transaction fee. But I can also, on top of having that C-chain registered, I can also, for example, set my validator node ID. So I quickly stole my node ID from a different website. So like this string, right? No, nobody recognizes it. Maybe you can copy it from somewhere and then search for it, but otherwise you don't really know you're delegating to me. If you would want to delegate to me, which is always very much appreciated, it has the lowest fees possible, 2%. You'll be able to search for cdnet.avax instead rather than this string. So I can submit that one as well. And now I have 2 records set. C-chain, basically your MetaMask wallet, will now resolve into cdnet.avax, and also my validator node if you ever search for it. Now there's a couple other options. Avatar is if you link it to a URL, you'll be able to upload an avatar for yourself. And DNS, I'm not entirely sure, I'm not technical enough to know the difference between these two, but eventually you'll be able to link it to a web page as well, similar to how you can do your ENS name .eth.link. You'll be able to do a similar thing for Avalanche to link your Avvy domain to a web page. And yeah, that's basically it. The only thing to keep in mind, shouldn't be relevant for you, but just for the one person I help out with this, if you want to renew right now, so let's say like I registered for a year, right? But maybe I want to just have it for the full 5 years instead. I can add 4 more years, but because currently this is in the auction period, I would actually have to pay the premium again just to extend it for 4 years. If you just wait, like nobody, like you own this address for a year, right? Like nobody's going to take it from you. If you register it with like a term that's shorter than you would like, just wait until the auction is over and you will not have to pay the premium to extend your lease. Maybe one final thing is if you go to settings, so like this is where you can backup and restore data. So if you have like a private domain, this is basically where you get your data from the browser and you could upload it to a different browser so that it recognizes, like it knows how to interpret the string that represents your domain. I can also just trash it, and if you want to help the devs, you can enable error tracking. If there's ever a bug, then like, you know, they'll be able to identify it more quickly. But yeah, everyone, that's it for today. I am really excited to finally have access to my own .avax domain. I hope you are as well. I hope this video was helpful, explaining to you how to register first of all for your domain and also how to like set it up later. Keep in mind that the resolver is still a beta feature, so you may, you know, waste some gas if they change some features about it or change the contract. But that said, I don't think you'll lose any funds for using it other than the gas fees. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your .avax domain is once you have it. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.